Welcome to the ExecMBA podcast. I'm your host, Brett Woody, and you are listening to a new episode. On this episode of the podcast, I'm excited to share my recent conversation with Kirby Landon. Kirby is a second-year student in our Part-Time MBA class of 2025, and she and I recently connected to talk more about her background, how she decided to pursue an MBA, what led her to Darden, what she's enjoyed about the Part-Time MBA program thus far, her plans for the elective period, and so much more. I think you're really going to enjoy this conversation. So without further ado, here is my interview with Kirby Landon. Kirby, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you.
It's great to have you here. How is everything going? Gosh, can it really be almost to electives? Is that true?
I know. It's going well. I'm actually coming off of a nice long break from school. I didn't take a class this J term, so I have had about a month of a break, which is, I think, the longest break anyone will get throughout the duration of this program. So I have made the most of it. It was a nice holiday with my family. And most notably, my daughter is turning 1 next week. So it's been, busy time over here getting ready for that big milestone.
Absolutely. And you're right. Finding time off in a working professional program, in the part-time program here at Darden, there's not a lot of extended breaks. The longest break you'll get is typically a couple weeks in December. And then you got to try to find time other ways. So it's an important skill.
Absolutely. I always say I've gotten very good at time management over the past year and change since I've been doing this. So in addition to all the things you learn in the classroom, that's another, important skill that you pick up along the way.
And congratulations to you and your family and your daughter on her first birthday. I can remember when you started the program, she was expected and
She
obviously came.
was.
How is it to have essentially this kind of like yardstick for how long you have been in the program? I mean, your daughter is a year. You've been in the program for about 16 months at this point.
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, any new parent knows time goes by very quickly, very slowly some days, but overall really, really quickly. And, it's crazy. I remember being pregnant and starting this program and thinking about how when I finish, because I'm expected to finish in May 2025, I'll have a 2-year-old. And I was like, that's so foreign to me. I can't even imagine it. But here I am with a 1-year-old. It's gone by in the blink of an eye. And I'm sure the electives and the remainder of this program will go by just as quickly, which is crazy to think about.
All right. Well, let's talk a little bit more about you and who you are. Tell us about you. What's your background?
Yeah, absolutely. So I went to Amherst College, which is a liberal arts school, and I was a typical liberal arts student. I did not know what I wanted to do when I grew up. And while I was in college, I actually really fell in love with math. I ended up majoring in math, which kind of opened my eyes to more analytical career paths than I had initially, thought I would follow. Um, and, after interning kind of all over the place, I did some finance, I did some actuarial science. I ended up kind of falling into business data analytics and eventually program management down here in Annapolis, Maryland, which is where I work now. I work at Collins Aerospace in their business aviation group doing program management. So when I'm not, working or in school, I spend a lot of time with my family here, walking around the area, which is great. Similar to Charlottesville, it's a very walkable town, which I love. Close to the Metro DC area and the Roslyn campus, which is also important. And outside of that, I spend some time doing the PSA, the Part-Time Student Association. I am the community VP. So that's been an exciting journey as well to get to know some of my classmates a little bit better.
All right. Well, let's talk more about your MBA journey. How did you decide that you wanted to pursue an MBA?
Yeah, this was something that, was kind of always on my mind. I knew I had ambition for my career and I felt that the MBA was the best way to get there. That said, I do have a family and a house and some roots that, makes pursuing a full-time program a little bit more difficult. So when I found out that Darden was offering the part-time program in the Metro DC area, I was very excited, which actually led me to apply. And, the timing worked out really well with you guys starting the program and me hitting a point in my career where I think my experience level would have, enabled me to find more value in the MBA program. So the stars just kind of aligned and it worked out well.
And how did you decide how did you decide that Darden really resonated with you? I mean, obviously, I know the location was part of it, but were there other aspects of the experience that appealed?
Yeah, absolutely. Like I said, I went to a tiny liberal arts college and I really, really loved the classroom experience I had there. I loved the close bonds I got to form with my classmates and with my professors. And that was something where even though, the part-time program is for working professionals, we're all very busy. I still wanted that kind of community in my schooling. So Darden really appealed to me, because, even though it is a part-time working professional program, the cohorts aren't huge. There are only 65 of us, and you get to know each other really well. And what's more, the professors are really, really engaged. If I had wanted to do an all online MBA, I'm sure there are a lot of those that exist, and it could have been a lot easier as, someone who drives into DC. But I really wanted that classroom experience and that connection with my professors and my classmates.
Yeah, let's talk about the commute because a part-time program here at Darden is evening weeknight classes. First year of the program, I'd say the core of the program, I should say. First 18 months is Monday and Thursday nights, and the electives you could have class on Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, depending on the courses that you choose. How have you managed the commute? What's that been like?
It has been, it's funny. I tell people this, and my husband says, don't tell them that. It sounds depressing, but I mean it. It actually is kind of nice to get like an hour of my day that's just me time. I'm just alone in the car. I don't have my daughter. I don't have my work bothering me. I just get some, quiet time. I work mostly from home, so I don't really have a work commute in addition to a school commute. So my school commute every other week into DC 2 nights a week is kind of like a little break for me. I get to listen to music. I get to think about the readings that we did for class. So it's it seems like a lot, but it actually, I think it's a treat. I love it.
Well, that's a great way to look at it. And just having a little time to yourself, I can understand
Yeah,
how that would
exactly.
appeal. Do you ever come in? I think you come in early sometimes. I feel like I've seen you at Sands Family
Yeah,
Grounds,
I
maybe
do. I do. Well,
class.
especially now
Yeah.
that my daughter's in daycare. We used to, while we were on the wait list for all those, we kind of had to balance, when my husband could get home and that's when I could leave. But now that she's in daycare, I leave usually around lunchtime, and then I'll work from the afternoons in the from the Roslyn campus, which is Sands Family Grounds has been, such a treat as well. It's really neat. It feels like a campus, but it's also like a beautiful 31st floor office building with a beautiful view of the DC skyline. So it's neat. I definitely like to maximize my time there when I get to.
Yeah, for our listeners who are just kind of getting used to the schedule, as Kirby mentioned, she has in-person class every other week. The schedule is really structured around about 60% of the classes in person, 40% online. So the other thing to know is that classes typically start around 6 p.m. In the evening for the in-person and virtual classes. And so there's a light meal from about 5 to 6, and then class kicks off at 6. So we do see students like Kirby coming in a little bit early, post up, maybe take some work calls and meetings from Sam's Family Grounds, which is great to see. Well, Kirby, I'm curious. So you obviously had thought about an MBA, felt like you're at a point in your career where you could really derive value from the experience. You come to Darden, you're a brand new student in the first year. What was the adjustment for you like?
I would say the biggest adjustment is time allocation and prioritization. Like you said, it seems very daunting when you're starting. I hadn't been in school in 5 years, so I didn't, remember homework and exams and all that fun stuff. And then in addition to that, you have your work and your life and everyone in the program. I mean, all 65 of us in my cohort, and then the 65 in the cohort after us, we're all impressive, busy people. And I think it's just a testament to how, if you have the passion, you can make the time. So I would say, balancing your time. I definitely spend a lot less time watching Netflix than I did 2 years ago, but I think that's kind of for the best. Um, but yeah, I think that would probably be the biggest adjustment.
What were there any time management strategies that you found particularly helpful?
Definitely getting a good support system. My husband's incredible. So, the little things around the house, like freaking out about, oh, the laundry has to get done. If I have in-person class this week, I'm really busy, like it might not happen, and that's okay. Or he can help out with it, and that's okay. So that's a big one. And then also, leaning on your classmates and your learning team. The amount of reading that you get really seems like a lot, but after the first few quarters, you really learn how to figure out, okay, like here's how I can read most effectively and get the most out of it. And it doesn't mean making an outline of every single case you read. It really helps to work with your learning team or your classmates, however you divvy it up, but having someone who is like an expert and takes all the notes on a particular case, and then everyone shares it. And even the cases where, one of my learning teammates may have made the notes for it, you still glean something else out of the case as you're reading it, because we're all coming at it with our own perspectives and everything. So I think definitely leaning on your classmates is important.
Well, it's kind of a natural segue to my next question about learning through the case method. Obviously, that's, Darden is a case method school, and so you're going to have case discussions, you have cases to prepare. Was that an adjustment for you? You mentioned that you're a mathematics undergrad.
I
And
am,
so
yes. It was a
case
change.
method.
I love a good problem set. So this was a change. You're definitely not, even in classes like accounting, you're not given, here's a list of 100 problems, go practice them and you'll learn how accounting works. That's not how Darden does things, but I've really come to appreciate with the case method, it's a lot of storytelling. And it leaves you with these like lasting anecdotes that stick with you a lot longer than if you had just gone through a list of practice problems. Some of the cases that we've worked on together, the one that immediately comes to mind is the Tiffany LVMH case that we did in our second finance class, to kind of show how an M&A negotiation would work. That's something that, you could read in the textbook, or you can do, a simulation with your classmates and, work through it together. And it sticks with you a lot longer, and it creates more lasting memories. And the other thing that's important, and I really think the part-time MBA program allows for this in a really unique way, is people are coming at these cases with all kinds of different experiences. There's people in my cohort that come from a finance background or consulting background, aerospace and defense. There's a lot of us in the DC area, myself included. And everyone approaches a problem or a case in a different way. And it really opens us up to be able to learn from each other, and each of our own lived experiences. And, if you're just being lectured by a professor, there's one way of doing things, but for us, there's 65 unique ways of doing things. So that's been really valuable.
And you mentioned you've also gotten involved in a leadership capacity with in your class. You're a community rep. What does that mean?
So it's really neat being part of the guinea pigs of the beginnings of the part-time MBA program. We're the new kids on the block for Darden for sure. But that gives us a really unique opportunity to kind of set the scene of like, okay, this is who we are. This is what it means to be a part-time MBA student. And being the community VP along with Krista Bridgens, who's my co-chair. For us, it's really meant fostering a sense of belonging across the student body. As you well know, we're all very, very busy between work and life and school. But, we've all come to this program again because we value that connection and we want that connection. And that as community VP has been a really cool part to be, or a cool opportunity to get to, foster that amongst each other, whether it's, having conversation topics at dinner at Sands Family Grounds, or having a clothing drive or a canned food drive ahead of Thanksgiving. It's been a neat opportunity to get to know all my classmates better and see them all get to know each other better as well.
Hey, you mentioned you're obviously part of the first class of part-time MBA students, and you kind of
Yes.
arrived. It's a bit of a blank slate, right? You're the first students through the door. So what does this look like in terms of a extracurricular experience? What was important to you as you thought about community? What was, what was for you in that work? Did you have anything that really guided the approach that you took?
I would say connection to my fellow classmates. We live in such an online world. We all work remote. And like you said, Brett, about 40% of our classes are remote and on Zoom. But 60% of the time we are in person. We're at Sands Family Grounds, and everyone there made a choice to be there. And it's not easy. It's at night after a long day of work. But we're all there together, and we really get to make the most of it. I'm not the only one that comes there early. Like you said, a lot of us come there, earlier in the day, and we spend our days working from Sands Family Grounds. And it's been really nice to get to make some friends as well. It's been a treat to get to know everybody.
Well, you're here about to enter your last quarter of core curriculum, and
I am.
it's a kind of an amazing thing. You've kind of all been waiting for this point to come for your class as you move into electives. When you look back on the core, do you have a favorite class or something that stands out to you from the first 18 months of the program?
Oh gosh, there's a lot. And it's funny because, every quarter is so different, but they really all teach you something valuable. I mean, leading organizations is always a highlight. And I really like how they kicked off the program. That was our first quarter. We took leading organizations, which was a way of us kind of broadening our perspectives on, as a leader, how do you approach problems? What's a good way to, figure out a solution to a creative problem that, might not have an easy like A to B answer. And that's a great way too for us to get to know each other as classmates. There's no right or wrong answer. And it's an easy way to open up a discussion to everyone kind of sharing their opinions and getting to know everyone better right off the bat. Um, I would say the residencies, so R1 and then R2 is coming up for us in March. That was a great opportunity as well. We kicked off the program with a week in Charlottesville together, and that was another great way of forming community. It was something where these are 65 people I've never met before. We're all embarking on this new journey, and it's new for all of us, and it's new for the school as well. And we got to spend a week together, just like, away from our friends and families here in Charlottesville, fully focused, and just really get to know each other very well. And I joked it was like going to school boot camp, like, this is how you, do homework again. Because for a lot of us, we've been out of the classroom for quite a while. But it was such a great opportunity to kind of make those deep connections right off the bat. And I know there are a lot of part-time programs out there, but that's definitely a unique opportunity to get that week away with everyone in your cohort.
You'll be back in Charlottesville in just a couple months. Are you looking forward to the return trip?
I am. I'm really excited. We were last there in August, so it was, the end of summer, and this time we'll be there at the beginning of spring, which I'm excited to see. So I'm really looking forward to that. And then I'm also looking forward to getting a chance, to kind of spend a week of reflection. It's like we talked about earlier, the year and a half, year and change that I've been in this program has gone by very, very quickly. I feel like I've learned a lot in a very short amount of time. Um, and it's going to be really great to get the chance to be all together in the same room again, before we all go our separate ways and take our own electives, but get that week together to really think about, wow, we did it, like look how much we've learned, look how much we've grown, and especially in a part-time program, like we get to hit the ground running. As soon as you learn something, you make an immediate impact in your job. And I know a lot of my classmates have already made career switches since they started the program. So it'll be cool to go back and take inventory with everyone of all that we've learned and all that we've accomplished together.
Yeah, I remember talking with the career folks. Your class, within the first year of the program, I think over a quarter of the students in the class had made a career change. And that's, I would say we didn't expect that, but it's great to see. And, I think maybe a testament to what the program does for people in terms of expanding, maybe they're piquing their curiosity in a particular area, expanding, their own sense of what they can do, and encourages them to seek new opportunities, all kinds of good stuff.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And it really is a unique opportunity. I know the executive MBA program also probably allows for this as well, but I'll learn something in class Monday night and then I go to work Tuesday morning. I'm like, hey, let me approach this problem that I'm trying to solve with the same, toolkit that I just learned about last night. And it's really neat getting to see, an immediate impact and immediate return on all the work you're putting in.
All right. So after R2, down in Charlottesville, you'll enter the elective period. And in that period, that's really when students can decide how fast or how slow they'd like to complete their remaining credits. For people who are just learning about our part-time program, you can complete the part-time program in anywhere from 28 to 48 months. And the standard pacing is 33 months. So, Kirby, how are you thinking about things? Are you thinking 33 months is probably going to be your pacing here?
I'm still targeting 33 months. It's nice to have the flexibility to know if I need to slow down, I can, but I'm trying to keep my foot on the gas as much as I can. I feel like momentum's strong with the 2 nights a week. And then in addition, Darden's now offering a few asynchronous all online options, which are a great offering for any busy student. I'm excited. I don't have to, commute in another night a week, but still get to take another class. So I'll be taking advantage of those for sure. But also trying to keep up the 2 nights a week as long as I can. And then, we'll see where things go. But it's tough. It's like a kid in a candy store. With the core, it was easy because you were just enrolled based on, the standard pacing of things. And we were all in the same classes together. And now they have all these elective offerings and you get to pick what you want to take. And it's tough because there's a lot of options. And I don't want to be in class 3 nights a week, but at the same time, the three classes seem really interesting. So it's a good problem to have for sure. But yeah, so keeping up 2 classes at a time plus the asynchronous ones when they're available.
What classes are you taking in the first couple of elective quarters?
So the first elective cycle, I'm going to be taking telling financial stories, which I'm excited. I think it'll be an interesting class, kind of marrying up some of the more analytical classes with some of the more, soft skill storytelling type classes. So I'm looking forward to that one. I am taking project management, which is what I work in. So I'm very excited to learn some of the methods behind the madness I've been practicing for the past 5 years. And then trying to think of some of the others. I know I'm doing a strategy in the digital age class that I'm looking forward to. I think that's one of the asynchronous ones. And then an emerging markets class I'm taking this coming spring as well. So an economics class. So it's nice. I appreciate all the offerings that are available. And then I also appreciate that Darden doesn't make you pick a focus the way when you're an undergrad, you pick a major. So I can keep, my liberal arts student has come back again. I'm kind of picking and choosing all over the place. And I know there are focus areas if I want to do one, but it's not a requirement. So it's nice. I can, just let myself go wild and take whatever seems interesting.
Well, is there anything else that you're looking forward to in the coming months? I know obviously always so much going on for our students. So what are you looking forward to?
I'm looking forward to a lot. We already talked about R2, which I'm excited for. The other thing I'm really looking forward to that's coming up in the next couple weeks is the first ever part-time MBA winter ball. So some of my colleagues on the Part-Time Student Association have put a lot of work into planning this, what will hopefully become an annual event for us part-time MBAers, since we're all local to the DC area, having a winter celebration. We'll be down in the wharf, and I am very excited for a mom's night out. So I'm milking it for all it's worth. We got a sitter. I'm going to go out to dinner beforehand, and then I'll get to, spend some time with my classmates outside of the classroom. So that'll be a real treat.
That's awesome. And we're nice enough to invite the staff members to that as well. So I think a few of us might be
I
coming
hope you
to the winter
do.
ball.
You guys
Yeah.
are just we all get dinner together Mondays and Thursdays, and you guys are integral to my success as well. So, hopefully I'll see you out there, Brett.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, Kirby, do you have a favorite memory? I know I asked you about favorite class, but just a favorite memory from the program thus far. Here you are kind of at this inflection point. So
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to think about the past 16 months without thinking about, having my daughter and being a mom. And it's not one single memory, but one thing that really warms my heart is just how much support I got, not only from my classmates and professors, but also the program staff, right after having a baby and having to figure out my schedule. Like obviously couldn't come into class, when I was in the hospital giving birth. So so working with everyone, and it's just great seeing how everyone wants you to do well. They want you to succeed. And whether it's the program staff making Zoom links readily available for in-person classes on nights where I was like, I can't drive out, I have like a 2-day-old baby right now, that's not going to happen. To my learning team, I leaned on a lot, and then all my other classmates too. I was so pleasantly surprised at the number of people that sent me notes without me even having to ask, or people that sent baby registry items. It was a really, really great time in my life, and I'm so grateful that I was part of this program when I became a mom. So thank you for everyone.
oh, that's awesome. Last question for you here, Kirby. Do you have a piece of advice for our prospective student listeners? I'm sure we have some people listening to this who are thinking about applying to the part-time MBA, maybe starting this August. So
I would say just apply and do it. It seems so daunting, when I remember sending in my application and thinking like, what if I get in? What if I do this? This seems so crazy. I already feel like I have no time in the day. And I promise it's not as difficult as it sounds. Like I said, everyone just wants you to do well, and get the most out of it that you can. And the other thing I want to highlight too is you don't have to give 100% of yourself to get 100% out of Darden. Everyone here, the Career Center, the professors, the program staff, your friends, like everyone is there for you 110%, and we'll do whatever it takes to make your journey as a Darden student successful. And I really feel like living proof of that, because I've definitely leaned on people a lot over the past 16 months, but I feel like I've gained so much in the process, that it's really paid off significantly. So very thankful for that. So yes, when in doubt, if it seems crazy, just do it. I promise it's doable.
Yeah, I think people do think of school as like this very solitary thing, and then you come to find in this program, and I would say our executive program's the same way. You are leaning on your classmates, learning team, vice versa. They're leaning on you. I mean, it's everybody kind of together, rowing in the same direction, working towards a common goal. It's different maybe than what people imagine when they think about school.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been such a blessing, and it sounds cheesy, but I really do mean it. It's been a great opportunity, and I'm so grateful to have been part of this inaugural cohort, because I think we're a really strong team, and we've really come together over the past 16 months. So it's been a fun journey.
Well, Kirby, thank you so much for taking some time for the podcast. It was great talking with you as always, and congratulations to you and your family and your daughter. Exciting times.
Thank you.
First birthday.
Thank you so much. All right. Well, I appreciate it, Brett. Have a great weekend.
And that was my interview with Kirby Landon, a second-year student in our part-time MBA class of 2025. As always, if you have any comments, suggestions, requests, anything you'd like for us to cover here on the podcast, we're all ears. We can be reached at exec, that's EXEC, at darden.virginia.edu. Until next time, stay safe, be well, and thanks for listening.